Hey everybody, it's Curtis Mack. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Sound Strategies podcast series. I'm happy to host this series. We focus on industry professionals and their experiences in those industries. Five, who do we have in the booth today?
We're here with Nancy today on the show Sound Strategies, and she's going to share a few tips and tricks with us today.
So Nancy, start off by telling everyone your name and what you do.
Sure. My name is Nancy Makoviak. I belong to the Warren County Toastmasters out of Hackettstown, New Jersey, and I'm currently their president.
And today we'll be talking about networking. That's the main focus of today. So what a perfect guest to have. Now, how long have you been the president of Toastmasters, and how long have you been networking?
I've only been president of Toastmasters for a few months and running into the next election, hopefully. I've been networking, like most people, all of my life.
So, Nancy, what organizations have you worked with?
Well, right now I'm with the Toastmasters, but I've worked with various organizations over the years. I had my own network called the Northwest New Jersey Career Club for un- and underemployed professionals, and that was for about a dozen years. Talked about all things job search. But before that, even back into college, I belonged to American Marketing Association and networked that way. I networked within LinkedIn, like most people do. I've been on LinkedIn since 2009, so I've been building my network for a very long time.
Okay.
Now, why is networking important to you?
Networking is important not only to me, but to everyone. It starts when you're over the back fence talking to a neighbor and you have a plumbing issue. Hey, who do you use? Oh, I use Joe down the street. You're networking. You're reaching out to your local village saying, hey, I need help. You start there. It extends when you have kids, because when you have kids and they're in a rec league or in school, they need equipment all the time and they grow out of it so quickly. They say, hey, my kid's in the next size. Can you use these cleats? You're networking. You're going to that group of people. So you're using networking in a little N, as I call it, in that way. Most people think of networking with the big N, the big scary professional networking, but that's something you do during the course of your business life as well.
So basically, small circles create bigger circles. So your little N creates the big N.
In many cases, because you don't know who knows who. Your next door neighbor might be that great next connection for your great next opportunity, whether it's for your own business or for your career, or just something that you need that in the middle of the night, something happens.
I think we talked about this a little offset that, during my time in radio, I felt like the glue, right? And in the morning, I'd be at a kindergarten, and in the afternoon, a car dealership, and by the end of the day, a junkyard. And then you had mentioned, don't be the glue to the network, be the bungee cord, right?
Be the bungee cord, because you make that connection and you make it on a personal level, and you let it stretch out and go to wherever in the area that person goes to, but you never know when that might stretch back to you where you need something else that person knows.
What would you say your most memorable moment in your networking journey would be, or what it was?
I'd say the biggest stretch of my network happened over a course of a number of years. I used to travel quite a bit with a number of folks with a professional organization, with the bank that I was with.
Who inspired you to do what you do?
The most recent inspiration was a number of years ago during the financial crisis. I was laid off like tens of thousands of other people. And I had been at one place for a long time, didn't know how to search for a job. So I wound up going to different groups to learn how to write resume and how to do an interview and those kinds of things. So my point of view was, because all those folks volunteered to help me, gave me little tidbits along the way and made those connections, it was time for me to return that favor and to take everything that I've learned and to pass it on, which is what created the Northwest New Jersey Career Club, to share that knowledge and to encourage others to share the knowledge. You don't have to be in the same industry. You don't even have to be in the same geography to help each other out. You make those connections, you snap on that bungee cord, it goes back out, and it comes back to you. It's my way of paying back all those folks who helped me.
Sure. And offset a little bit, you and I talked about, we even discussed this a little bit, Five, the who's who of the industry are starting to rise to the top, even though they were already there. Now with AI and all this digital stuff that's going on, people are trying to find a truthful inspiration or truthful messages from humans, right? And the who's who of the industries can help you because they've been there, right?
It's funny how things, as time progresses, get tighter and tighter.
Sure.
During an interview, I was talking to one person recently, and we started talking about other resources that she used, and we actually have resources in common. She was mentioning resource. I said, "Oh, I know person A and person B," and "Oh, do you work with this other company who's locally in Princeton?" "Oh, yeah." "Do you know Raja?" "Yeah, I know her." So you get that connection because you start knowing those people in common. And what's great about that is those people that you're talking about, they have a very good reputation in the industry. So by being able to connect with those folks, that gives you good karma because that good vibe that they're giving from working with those folks is rubbing off on you. And you're also giving them a shout out. So if maybe they weren't using them so much, that maybe they'll go back to using them more. So it's a complementary circle.
Yeah, name dropping in the industry or whatever industry you're in is always crucial. It's always about who you know, right, Five?
Oh, everything's about who you know. So just by knowing someone or being associated with someone in a positive way can get you in the door. And sometimes that's all you need is to be able to get your foot in the door. That's an accomplishment in itself. What are some of your accomplishments?
Well, over my course of my career, I've had some very good bosses who have given me a lot of opportunities outside the box. I'm a very comfortable public speaker now because of some of those out of those box experiences. So early on in my career, I was working in credit in the banking financial services industry. And we were to give this very large presentation to a credit summit for all the people in a very large organization. There were a number of folks who were going to give presentations. Well, one of those folks unexpectedly dropped out. My boss goes to me, "Well, you know the subject matter, probably even better than that person does. I want you to give that presentation." And I get there and I realize how many people. It was an audience of 1,500 people. So I got dropped into a very large audience, very well prepared, but I was very comfortable with that. But the only reason I was comfortable with that was I was put in that position by bosses who gave me that opportunity to be able to say, not only do you know this, but you know this in front of all these people. And the accomplishment where I felt the best accomplishment was weeks and months afterward. I had people calling me and reaching out to me going, "Hey, you talked about this and we're having a struggle with that. Can you help us out?" So that was the biggest compliment to me to say, hey, I was being recognized and people were coming to that piece of me for that knowledge.
First, you don't know, then you don't know, then you know what you didn't know, and later you become known for what you know. So it sounds like you're at stage 4.
I'm
networking.
Very much at stage 4. I have a tagline on LinkedIn, and I'm known for mitigating risk through education, collaboration, and innovation. And it sounds like a tagline. It sounds just like something I should trademark, but that's the way I am.
Sure.
That's what I'm known for.
You speak with such confidence.
I keenly say I wasn't born with the stage fright gene, so being in front of a group of people is not unusual. But going back to when I was displaced for a long time, and I would give presentations to the local libraries, to local women's groups. So my goal was always to give at least one person in the audience an aha. And if I got that aha from somebody,
sure,
that was my reward.
Of course.
And then for them to have that aha and be able to use that later or pass it on to someone else. It's like you tell 2 friends and they tell 2 friends and so on and so on. That just echoes.
And just to piggyback off of impressions, you walk into these rooms, and I've experienced it in my own, business, and Curtis experienced it in his business. We don't know anybody who's in these rooms. It could be 3 people. It could be 300 people. It could be 3,000 people.
Yes.
So when you walk into these rooms and you have to make that first impression.
Start small. Start with knowing when you walk into that situation what your goal needs to be.
Sure.
If your goal is just to talk to and get the name and number of 1 or 2 people to later on have a cup of coffee with and ask them questions, because people love to talk about themselves. There's a book I am working on now, I'm reading now, called Captivates, The Science of Succeeding with People. And it talks about networking, how to work a room when you're networking, what areas of a conference or a networking event to go to, or how to have a conversation and don't just start with, hey, how you doing? Like what you do in Jersey.
Yeah.
You walk up to them and go, hi. If it's this person by themselves, especially, how do you know the host? Or another great way, if you're going to be in one of these events, volunteer to sit at the registration table. Because then you get a chance to meet everybody coming through the door, hand them their name tag, get them to sign in, and then you get the pick of the litter. You get a chance to pick and choose who you want to approach later on, whether it's the keynote speaker or whether it's just somebody else in the audience, or if it's somebody familiar. You want to be able to make sure that you've touched base with that person.
It sounds like self-care and attire really come into play here. I always say location drives attire, especially, you know, from a media perspective, because if I'm at the beach, I'm probably going to wear beach attire. But if I'm at a funeral, I'm going to wear funeral attire. If I'm at a business meeting, basically the location usually drives your attire. So for the networking events, no matter what position you're in, I would imagine that self-care in general and attire would come into play, right?
That's all part of the polish. And I was always taught to not just dress for the occasion, but dress for the next step up you want to be. Because if you're dressed for that next step where you want to be, people may assume that you're already there.
Yeah, that's facts.
But that's somebody that's looking at you, you emanate that position of authority. But there's lots of little things that you do. You don't have to be the shining star every time. You just have to be the shining star for one or two people in that environment. And then that'll draw more people.
How do you stay focused? How do you avoid the distractions?
Construction outside, or it could be somebody calling you, or it could be, you know, some lady that's running the show is freaking out because her spouse is calling her.
Yeah.
So how do you avoid the noise and distractions when you're getting ready for your moment?
We have noise and distractions in everything we do. Driving down the road, you have that noise and distraction of the guy who's cutting you off. So you're always going to have that noise and distraction. And we live with noise and distraction every day. So that's something that you're already living with. Having that ability when you're going in, and if you're at the registration desk, to pick and choose who you want to speak to. Or if you have an advanced idea of who else is going to be attending. If it's an event that you already know something about it, learn about the keynote speaker. They're going to tell you about the keynote speaker. Introduce yourself to the keynote speaker.
For sure.
There's so few people who do introduce themselves because the keynote speaker likes having that validation for themselves. You don't have to talk to everybody. This book actually talks about that. You spark a conversation by, again, not the how you doing, but how do you know the host? Are you new into this particular industry? Is this a new organization to you? Or if you're experienced in this organization, well, here's how I got involved. How would you like to get involved? Toastmasters is one of those organizations that helps give you that polish, that helps you pick and choose those areas that you're looking to do. It's not only communicating, it's being concise and clear about that communication, but how many different ways that you can get that message across.
For sure.
In lots of different areas. This book is called Captivate, The Science of Succeeding with People. Author is Vanessa Van Edwards, and actually one of the other Toastmasters recommended this book. Her name's Jen Keem. She's the one that recommended this, and we're all really getting a lot out of it for different reasons, because we all bring different perspectives and different skill sets, and this helps you really sharpen those.
Okay.
It's one of those books that I'm going to go back to. It's already dog-eared, you can see. I'm going to go back to again and again because there's a lot of little nuggets that I'm going to have to read a chapter or two again.
Let people know, Toastmasters, where they can be found, where they can be reached, you know, how to reach you.
Well, Toastmasters is actually an international organization, so it's worldwide. If you go onto the website, toastmasters.org, click on Find a Club, put your zip code in, it'll tell you what clubs are within a certain radius of where you live. The club that I belong to is in Hackettstown, New Jersey, which is in the northwestern quadrant of the state. And there's many others in the area. Some do virtual meetings, some do in-person meetings, or a combination of those two. So it's a great way to get started, joining a local club. Try it out. You can reach me by just sending me an email, president@warrencountytoastmasters.com. And you can get to me directly or just info@warrencountytoastmasters.com. And all of us officers pick up that email. Come see one of our meetings. Come join us. We meet the first and third Thursday of every month in the same time frame. The Hackettstown Senior Center, which is behind the Hackettstown Community Center, right in downtown Hackettstown. So it's real easy to find, easy to get to. And join as a guest. It doesn't cost you anything to come in and listen to us or try one of your local organizations, one of your local clubs. But there's contests.
Oh, wow.
So you have a club contest, a regional contest.
Oh, wow.
I just sat in on a local contest, and those go throughout. It becomes a nationwide contest and does go international. So these contests, the organization's been around for 100 years.
Wow.
So it's very well established. Each club has its own officers, and it gives you an opportunity to practice leadership skills.
Definitely.
Because you participate in either the meeting by being a speaker, ad hoc for a minute or two, or you get a path, a learning path, and you take on different projects and do different things, and you earn certificates as you go. Wow. But then you can also volunteer to be an officer, and there's no prior experience necessary because Toastmasters has got a great organization and a great set of information to give you the exact things that are needed for each position.
That's fantastic. That's a great tip to volunteer. Me and Five just volunteered at Taylor Memorial Library.
Sure. There's no one secret to it. It's being authentic and being yourself. Approach it with saying, hey, I want to try this. My daughter Erin is a firefighter in 2 different organizations, the local fire departments, local emergency services. You don't have to go to the accident scene, afraid of blood, or you don't want to be in a fire. All those organizations could use support for fundraising. And it's a great way to support the community and supporting somebody whom you might need the service of.
Yeah.
The vast majority of those organizations are volunteer across the state. So they're always looking for someone to help out, even as simple as, hey, I'll help you sign up the next fundraiser. But take those baby steps. It doesn't have to be giant because your biggest impact is in your local community.
For sure. Shout out to the local communities.
Start with the village. It takes a bunch of people to build a village. Is there any acknowledgments, any shout outs?
Well, shout out, of course, to Warren County Toastmasters. Great organization. We have a lot of fun. It's a very receptive group. So we hear speeches about all kinds of things. Hey, shout out to all the volunteers, the firefighters, the EMS folks, the operators who are behind the scenes. Most people don't even recognize that they're there until they need them, but they're willing and able to do things in the middle of the night, interrupt their family meals and those kinds of things. So support them any way you can. Don't just write a check. Your time is your most valuable. And I think that's probably the biggest tip about networking. Mm-hmm. Networking is about sharing your time.
Sure.
And making that personal connection. It's not just what you do for a living. It's what you do to be known.
Oh, for sure. Especially in my industry with the marketing consulting aspect of it, because I'm the salesman and I'm the producer as well. But the relationship building, I have to do that as well. So you have to establish a relationship, make an interpersonal relationship, and then curate or nurture that throughout the process. Did we miss anything today, Nancy?
Don't be scared of networking because it is something you're already doing. Giving yourself credit for what you're doing and building that network. The people you talk to, we don't live in a vacuum. As much as you can be an introvert, but you still have a network. You still have your own personal board of directors that you go to for advice. Don't be afraid of it.
100%. We'd like to thank you for being here today. We kind of gave you the nickname Offset, Networking Nancy. So we had Nancy.
I love that name.
Right? We had Nancy Makoviak in the studio today, the Omni Production Studio for Sound Strategies podcast series. My name is Curtis Mack. I'm hosting, and my co-host is DJ 525.
Yes. Thank you for having me.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everybody. We'll see you next episode.